Hi everyone. I suppose I should say welcome back to myself, shouldn't I? So it's been probably over a month now since I've done an actual proper video. Might even be longer because I was about a week ahead of myself. So yeah, I'm going to ease myself in gently. So initially, I've decided I'm not going to go for such a sort of regimented schedule as I have been over the past, well, probably 2 to 3 years now, I suspect. So just gently ease myself back into content. Firstly, before I go any further, actually, thanks to everybody that commented on the videos, inspired me, motivated me, gave me ideas, mentioned the sort of videos that they like to see. It was good because I think everything on there actually pretty much lined up with the sort of thing I wanted to do. As was pointed out, the ones that are always a bit of a problem is the product openings, but yeah, I'm do have some stuff that I can use for that. So yeah, we might hopefully get the odd product opening slid in various places. So yeah, once again, thanks very much for all of that. And yeah, I'll be working my way through different types of content. I'm going to keep the colour coding that I tend to use because I actually find that really helpful myself when I'm looking down to see which videos I've released and whether or not it's time to do another video of a certain thing. But what I probably won't do is be so regimented in terms of, certain days of the week are certain things. I'm going to try and ensure there's a nice mixture, but I'm not going to necessarily at this point in time tie it into certain days. So I wanted to pick something, I suppose, simple to ease myself back in. And, anybody that's watched the channel regularly probably know that I'm a big fan of Scryfall. So we're going to do some Scryfall shenanigans. I think that's what I'm going to call this series if I ever do these, where I just look at a slice in Scryfall. And I know, that was commented actually on about what was it doing. I think Red Mythic Dragons was a suggestion. And I had a bit of a play around with some dragon stuff actually. Shot a couple of videos which I decided not to release because they didn't flow very well. And then I was looking back at really early videos on the channel because when it's nice when you do this and people comment, because you see a lot of people that you recognise that have been watching the channel for a long time, like since probably the channel started, and then some people that have been watching it for around like the 10-11 year mark, and then others that are a bit newer to the channel. So it was a really nice spread. But I thought of like all the really early stuff that I did, and I suddenly remembered that I don't know if it was 2010 or 11 now. I haven't got the screen up anymore. But I opened a tournament pack and a couple of boosters from Shards of Alara, because Shards of Alara came out when I was sort of engaged in the whole lead-in and also the move to Nova Scotia. So I sort of took my eye off the ball, Magic the Gathering wise. So there's a sort of gap between 10th edition and probably around about World Wake, where I wasn't really opening stuff as it came out. I was aware of it, but so anything that I opened was open retrospectively. But what I found was that I was quite drawn to Shards of Alara, and I think I was actually, that particular block was one of the first novels I think I read. I can't remember which one, but yeah, I sort of got quite involved in the lore, which is unusual. It's not something I get too bogged down in. But seeing that again reminded me of how much of a smile that block brings to my face, for lots of different reasons. But it's also the first set where they had mythics, so I figured as the whole issue of slicing on rarity had come up in a comment about was it Red Mythic Dragons, I think. I thought, well, let's just have a nice easy episode, and have a bit of a durdle around in Scryfall. Let's look at the mythics in Shards of Alara. I keep wanting to say Conflux for some reason. I'm not sure why, but yeah, if I accidentally say Conflux, I mean Shards of Alara. So there are 15 mythics in Shards of Alara. Oh, and the other thing is, if you are interested in me doing this, suddenly made me think about that there's mythics are actually a really interesting thing to talk about, and we'll see why in a moment, particularly in this set because of what comes up. So if you have any particular set where you'd like me to do a Scryfall Shenanigans episode, as I think I'm going to call it now, where I look at the mythics, can you put it in the comment section, and I'll take a look. See, already I'm looking at this going, I want to look at Zendikar. But so whatever you fancy, and any other suggestions for Scryfall Shenanigans, I'm open to suggestions. So 15 mythics. Not the first time we had Planeswalkers, but prior to that, if you remember, Planeswalkers which were from Lorwyn, which had been also delayed because originally I think they were supposed to be in the previous block to Lorwyn. But look, those early Planeswalkers were printed at rare because mythics weren't a thing. But in Shards of Alara we have mythics. The other thing about Shards of Alara, which made me think about the tournament packs, is I believe it was the last set where they printed tournament packs. Now, someone correct me if I'm wrong here. Again, I haven't specifically got the thing on my screen. Wasn't it the first set where they did the 40+1 intro? Was that when intro decks came in? Because I'm pretty sure Lorwyn block, Shadowmoor block were still theme decks, and then Shards of Alara we get the intro decks. Yeah, just confirm that for me. One of the things when I'm going to do these Scryfall Shenanigans episodes, I'm not going to do a lot of prep about the set. So yeah, it's going to be a bit. My recollection is going to be a bit vague. I'm not going to bring up do any sneaky thing on my second screen and have MTG Wiki up and pretend I know all of this off the top of my head. None of that. It's all going to be like, what you see is what you get. See where that takes us. I will split things out, and if I'm splitting stuff out like this and I notice something that I remember, I've got an extra tab here I'm going to include as well. So I've split these out into different types just to make Scryfall drill downs a little bit easier. And there's one extra tag here for a reason which will be made apparent in a moment. So yeah, let's go in, and we've got 4 Planeswalkers, so not a cycle. Although I suppose the commonality, Well, even that, I mean, if you look at the templating, there is a bit of variance here, isn't there? Because, so everything's got a +1. And when you get to that second ability, which can go in different ways, we have Elspeth, which is +1. We've got a -X for Tezzeret. Sarkonvol's got a -2, and then Ajani Vengeance a -2. And then we have these ultimates. Now, at this point, there's no emblems. I'm not sure when emblems came in. You know, on some you have generates an emblem. And I don't know if retrospectively they've created emblems for these, if they've ever cropped up in other precons where, you know, where that might be appropriate. But, you know, as you can see, the ultimate is normally like super splashy and does something pretty, you know, dramatic to the board most of the time. For this particular style of, I mean, obviously we've seen Planeswalkers since then that behave a little bit like an enchantment in some ways, or an artifact. You know, they sort of sit there as a permanent, and they can do stuff, a limited amount of stuff, but there's no way within them necessarily to increase the loyalty counter. So you've got to do some sort of counter shenanigans outside of the card. Whereas these, you know, we do have the +1 ability. So if we want to, we can tick up the loyalty. It's also interesting, you get something like Tezzeret, where you've got the ultimates -5, and this is +4. So it doesn't take much ticking up to get the ultimate, but that is only until end of turn. I don't know, beyond this, there is a particular card we're going to look at where I do want to talk a lot about rules and these, the tags here, and drill down a little bit more. But I wasn't too sure if for this, how far down the rabbit hole I want to go for these. I suppose, am I right in saying this is the first time we saw Planeswalkers again since Lorwyn? Yeah. Power boost tool. Yeah, pretty common. We'll have a look and just see if there's anything that catches our eye. Refund. Okay. Immediately get mana or untapped lands back. 237 of those. Okay. Tick several tutor boxes here in terms of the tagging. '79 universal type changes. Some rather more dramatic than others, I would say. Oh yeah, freeze permanent. Oh, it's got lightning helix on it, doesn't it? Is that right? Yeah, 3 damage. Yeah, 3 life. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. So we've got a freeze on here. And we've got lightning helix. And we've got this. We've got one-sided sweeper. Is there a one-sided? I was just curious if there's a... So of course one-sided sweeping can take different forms depending on how you're achieving it. But I was wondering, is there anything that does just... So we've got retaliate. That's attacking creatures. Exile all non-land permanents. Target player controls. Oh, it's one of those ones, isn't it? Curious. Destroy all lands, target player controls. Pretty cool ability. You definitely know land. Well, your family's got no land. Yeah. Because like the no hand, no land deck, that was it? Red black, wasn't it? Yeah. Okay, let's have a look at this. So, also within the Mythics, you've got these 5 legendary creatures, which, as you probably, maybe even if you're not familiar with the set, if you've guessed, is a cycle. And yeah, we're in Shards of Alara, so it's a shard. Some white, blue, black, red, green, red, green, white, blue. Excuse me. And if I go into here, look at the tags, you'll see, yeah, Cycle of Alara Legends. Also, some of these form the C13 reprint commanders. So these were the ones that were reprinted in C13. But I think if I do, I think this is going to work. Is first printing. It'll be a bit clearer of which of the, how many of the 5 of the ones that are in the cycle that are in Alara were reprinted in C13. So you've got, yeah, basically this one and this one. This is from Alara Reborn, and Seeker Deathkeeper is actually from Cold Snap, and I have done there's a series, a series I did, wasn't there, featuring this theme deck, I think, originally, and then building a commander, an EDH deck out from that. And Rubina Soul Singer, Rubinia, Soul Singer. I'm trying to think now. I think, yeah, no, I'm thinking of something else actually. There's another, I think an Enchantress style deck, Legend, that was a Magic the Gathering Online EDH deck that came out before the Commander product, before the C11 stuff. So yeah, but this is C13. And you can probably see here, if you think I can do this. Is that? Yeah, I'm trying to remember now. Because it's not, yeah, I don't know off the top of my head actually. Is there a way I can drill down? What I wanted to do, I was curious because these are, you can see these have then subsequently been reprinted. That one's Commander 2013. Anthology. So it was printed in, oh yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? Because yeah, the first anthology had certain decks. Okay. Commander Masters, Double Masters, and Double Masters. That one's 2022. Okay. Yeah, so interesting cycle of cards. Originally from Shards, but as you saw there, a couple of them yeah, got reprinted in Commander 2013. Now, the other thing, some of these may look familiar. If we switch the view, yeah, it's a bit easier to see. So there's Sharum. So that's happened a couple of times. And you remember these oversized cards as well. So in the 2016, that would imply that was actually a main commander then. Is that right? I was trying to think when they switched from doing 3 oversized to just 1. Yeah, so that, no, yeah, hang on. Sorry, let me dial that back. I misspoke there, didn't I? So at this point, it must have been a secondary commander. At this point, it was the reprinted commanders. It wasn't one of the new ones, but they were still doing. Were they still doing 3 oversized cards? I think. Yeah, I think they were. I think that's it, isn't it? So. And I can't remember, because they're all off on another shelf, at that point whether, by the time we get to 2016, whether they completely done away with oversized cards altogether. So yeah, difficult to remember. Okay, so Cedris, yeah, this is the one I always get confused with. I always, for some reason, think this ended up in a Commander product when it didn't. Kresh was in From the Vault's Legend, and then in New Capenna Commander. We've already seen this, yeah, this was 2013. And also in an oversized version of it in the Commander's Arsenal, the previous year, because that came out in 2012. And this was in Commander Masters, but nothing before that. So again, it's always interesting how my memory plays tricks with me, and I, you know, just for some reason think that these have all of these have turned up in an actual physical, you know, Commander precon, but that's not the case. You know, it's all over the map. And Sharum's done double duty. So another interesting cycle. So there's a second cycle in here, and there's a couple of reasons why I find this really interesting. These set of mythics. Well, there's a lot of things you can say about these. They're all pretty different, except for, if you notice, the casting cost. So they're all 8 mana. So they've got 4 of any colour of mana, and then this interesting combination of shard colours, where there's 2 of the middle part of the shard. But yeah, pretty heavy to cast. Each one has its sort of own unique ability, and the power toughness is quite variable here. Now, when I look at these, I looked at these for the first time. This is the one I least remember, Prince of Thralls. These other ones, I just for some reason, they light went on in my head. I thought, well, yeah, I recognise Godsire and Hellkite Overlord and Imperial Archangel and Sphinx Sovereign, but yeah, Prince of Thralls just have no memory of at all. Haven't really seen it as a card anywhere. Definitely haven't opened it, which I haven't opened many of these anyway. I mean, the main stuff I would have opened is packs of, a few packs of Shards of Alara, which would be a tournament pack, a couple of boosters, and then what? I don't know. When I did the nostalgia pack openings, I'm trying to remember if I did actually open more Shards of Alara product. But then there's also those all foil ones as well, which came from the block as a whole. So it's quite possible I may have seen some there. But in addition to these being what were called the noble creatures, which we'll actually bring up, they had heralds as well. So you can see from what we've got here that the cycle of these creatures has been reprinted. It's easy to see if I bring up. So Double Masters. This has been reprinted in the list, but it comes up with its original set symbol because of that. Another Double Masters one, and was in From the Vault's Dragons. This was in a secret lair drop. Oh, and this one hasn't. So yeah, this is the only one that hasn't been reprinted. But what was interesting in the set at common were these heralds. So if I just lose those, and that's the best way to get back here. I just want to try and compare and contrast the two here. Yeah, here we go. Boom. So here's the cycle, and for this it's sort of easier. So to try and map them here, just make a mental note that the middle part of the shard is blue. So blue, black, red, green, white. And the reason they're ordered like this is it's ordering them WUBO, but it's looking at the first colour. So they have a corresponding herald. So there's the blue one, the black one, the red, the green, and then there's the white one. So this one searches out Sphinx's Sovereign, Prince of Thralls, Hellkite Overlord, Godsire, and then Imperial Archangel. They're all 1 to cast. They're all 1/1s. Their activation cost is always the 2, and then a 2 of any colour, and then the colour, the casting colour, what's colour identity. And then you have to sacrifice the corresponding combination of creatures in the colours, or So 3 creatures, and they have to be on colour for the particular one of these. So white, blue, black. If you look at here, white, blue, black. And then you get to search your library for that card and put it into play, then shuffle your library. So yeah, these. And it's when I was just literally thinking about this episode and brought these up, something I suddenly thought, yeah, there's heralds in here. And so there's these. But they've never been reprinted, as you can see here. And of course, it's not unusual to see a card that tutors for a specific other card, but it's interesting to see it on a cycle like this in the set. So I've saved the most interesting card till last, and this is one of the reasons why I tend to forget, but I get drawn towards mythics often, is you get these interesting cards that crop up, these either alternate win condition cards or don't lose cards, and there's this one, and I'd forgotten about this until I brought these mythics up, and this is Leash's Mirror. And so it says, if you would lose the game, instead shuffle your hand, your graveyard and all permanents you own into your library. Then draw 7 cards and your life total becomes 20. And what was really cool about this is, on lots of levels, it got me thinking about rules interactions or various things that could come up, because this resets a lot of stuff. So it stops you losing the game. You get to shuffle your hand in your graveyard and all your permanents into your library. So that doesn't include anything that's been exiled. Then you draw 7 cards and your life total becomes 20. So what happens if there's some step after this which causes you to then lose the game? There's a scenario where, because of course this goes back in the library, and of course there's all sorts of scenarios covered in here. It goes through the different ways in which you can lose a game. So like one way you can lose the game is to do with poison counters, but as it says, it's not helpful, because if you go down further in here, where's it gone? There's a reference to the fact, well, you haven't got rid of the poison counters, so that's going to come back to haunt you. Where's it gone? This isn't helpful. See below, because an ability such as one from yeah, and then these other combinations with other things as well. These other interesting things like Leash's Mirror shuffles tokens into your library too. The tokens you own will leave play. However, there's no point to physically shuffle tokens to your library because you can't draw them as part of Leash's Mirror effect, and they cease to exist immediately afterwards. It's not a game restart. If a spell causes you to lose the game the next time state-based actions are checked by dealing damage to you greater than your life total, for example, that spell will already be in your graveyard by the time Leash's Mirror effect happens. If it is in your graveyard, it will be shuffled into your library. Oh, there we go. That one. It's buried away in here, so as part of Leash's Mirror's effect, it typically shovels itself into your library. If it does, that means that if you would lose the game again, immediately after the effect is finished, it can't help you a second time. Not surprisingly. This can occur in a few different ways. For example, you have 10 or more poison counters. Leash's Mirror doesn't remove poison counters. If you lose the game this way, you'll do what Leash's Mirror says, then you'll lose the game the next time state-based actions are checked. Your life total is 0 or less, and an effect says that you can't gain life. Since your life total can't be raised, it says it stays at whatever it is rather than becoming 20, and you'll lose the game the next time state-based actions are checked. And we've got the number of non-token permanents you own plus the number of cards in your hand, graveyard and library is less than 7. When you try to draw 7 cards as part of the Legendary effect, you'll be unable to complete at least one of these draws, and you'll lose the game next time state-based actions are checked. And that's the, you think, well, how could that happen? Well, you notice it doesn't mention anything that's been exiled. So if there's just a ton of your cards have been exiled to the point where, the combination of the hand, the graveyard, and the library is less than 7, then you won't be able to draw 7 cards. And this last one. You control but don't own a permanent such as Immortal Coil with a triggered ability that causes you to lose the game when a certain game state happens. And the condition that causes the lose the game ability to trigger hasn't changed. If you own the permanent, Leash's Mirror would shuffle it into your library. Hang on. If you own the permanent, Leash's Mirror would shuffle into your library. In this case, however, it remains on the battlefield and its ability will trigger again. Oh yeah, okay. So that's the other thing. Yeah, stuff you control but don't own. Because it says permanents you own. So, yeah, that's just the rule stuff. It gets interesting here because there's quite a number of tags that I either don't remember seeing or haven't seen in previous Scryfall stuff I've done. So we've got something called a Homewood effect. Homewood effect. Regain control of your own stuff. That's what a Homewood effect is. And actually, if you look, there's Homeward Path. There's Leash's Mirror. If you're looking, like we often do with these historically, I'm just trying to think, why did that come up? Oh yeah, I know why. Because I did check something. I remember what I checked actually. Yeah, I should more accurately say prior to preparing for this episode, I hadn't seen those because there was something I needed to check with Leash's Mirror because of something I misunderstood. So I was trying to think, why did that come up there if I've not? I even forgot the fact that I'd done a quick dive into Leash's Mirror a few days ago. Wow. Save from Death. Okay. So not so many of those. Now, obviously, as part of this, because you're putting all this stuff into your library, there is a tuck effect in all of this, and there's been quite a few of those in Magic's history. And there's this whirlpool effect. So if you sort of look through these, you can see a common denominator here is this shuffling of the hand, I think. Let me have a look. Cards in your hand at the bottom of your library. Shuffle the hand. Shuffle the hand. Each player shuffles the hand. Yeah. And then drawing a certain number. I mean, sometimes it's 7 cards, other times it's a certain number based on something else. But you know, that idea of stuff going into the library and then stuff coming out. Or wheeling to the library. There's 24 cards in Magic's history to prevent wins or losses. Now with these, I was curious. Yeah, that's a mythic. So's that. As is that. Yeah, I was curious, like, as how many of these have only ever shown up as mythics, and it's actually slightly less than I thought. I suppose I've always associated it with, but you know, the alternate condition of winning or, you know, not losing, preventing a win or loss, has been kicking around for a while. Got Leash here, which is a, you know, namesake. Leash's Mirror, Leash's Tomb, Nefarious Leash. And then there's cards that set life totals, of which there are 56. You got interesting stuff. Oh, there's a mythic from Zendikar there, Eternity Vessel. Is that Arch Enemy? Looks like it. Oh, Platinum Imperion. So yeah, all of these set or fixed life in some way. And you can see not necessarily, you know, at 20. And then I suppose, you know, connected to this, we've got one-sided wheels. Because they're not doing, yeah, this is just cards where it's specifically, yeah, mentions you. And if you look at this here, let me... Yeah, so there's 90 cards in total that do some form of wheeling. Got contract from below. There's Tarifi's puzzle box. And yet, Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Misfortune. And this is a symmetrical wheel here. Each player discards his or her hand and draws 7 cards. I think I've got one of these from Revised, possibly. Turned up in Vintage Masters, but that was online. It's never been, never been reprinted, except for this thing, this monstrosity. Yeah, the revised edition cards are always really interesting because they always look super pale. To the point where they almost don't look genuine, you know. I've seen a few interesting like white border cards from around this period. So there's also some... Oh, what's the name of that aggregate set? Not Anthologies, Chronicles, where I've got a legend from Chronicles that looks extremely dodgy. It's just so washed out. So yeah, that it's quite surprising when you see revised, if you've never seen revised edition cards in the flesh, or the physical cards, just how washed out they are. Actually, I don't know quite what went wrong there, because I don't have the MTG Wiki page up. I'm assuming either, I don't know if they changed the printers or what happened, but yeah, it's a real big, really noticeable. So yeah, I think this card's pretty cool. And I don't know if anybody, like how predominant, like people will just stick one of these in a multiplayer deck, just on the off chance it might get them out of trouble. I mean, it's pretty, there's obviously a high degree of variance where you've got just a single card to do this. And I suppose, obviously if you've got some form of tutoring, you're running in your deck multiple tutors or something that would maybe seek this out. But, it is an interesting card because of all the things it resets, except for, obviously the poison thing. And I think, am I right? Is there one here that... Let's see. Save from death. Prevents a win-loss. Now, isn't there? Yeah, no, I'm not sure. Why did I think there was one that reset your poison counters? Maybe there is. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I must have. Must be a false memory. Oh, there we go. Yeah, no, I should have realised it would be this one. Yeah, Pure Still Angel, that was it. Yeah. Whenever a card name deals combat damage to player, you get an emblem with. If you would lose the game, instead your life total becomes 20. Shuffle your graveyard into the library. You lose all poison counters and you lose this emblem. Right. Okay, so yeah, there it is. Not for constructed play. So it's this weird ones they did. What were these from? Mystery Booster playtest cards, that was it. Definitely not legal anywhere, apparently. So finally, let's just have a quick look at the prices on this, or on these. Most expensive one from the set, if you sort of exclude any reprints that might be more expensive, is Tezzeret. Then you got Elspeth, which is just the one I think I did put in that video I did where I mentioned about opening packs and a tournament pack. I'm pretty sure there was an Elspeth lurking in there. Was also in the dual deck. Yeah, it's cropped up a few times. Prince of Thales, as we mentioned, only in the secret lair drop. Another dual deck appearance. And now we're getting down to below $5. God shy. I don't know if I've got that in my beast deck or not. I've got this like 5 colour beast deck. I think I've flipped through it on camera with Morathon, just so I could get access to all 5 colours. And I'm trying to remember if there's a Godsire in it or not. I don't know, yeah. And if there is, I'm not sure if I've got the corresponding Herald in the deck or not. Sarkhan Vol got reprinted in Modern Masters and was a secret lair drop. Leash's Mirror is 286 on the list, and then Mael the Anima, which we've seen these legendary creatures before. These are all pretty reasonable actually. Nothing too egregious. Oh, there's Helgai Overlord. It's interesting with this one, isn't it? You've got the shards up here, and then we've got the abilities with the red one and then the black green one. Is that one of the ones where the shards one is more expensive than this fancy one? I was unsure of this actually because this has got the Alara set code on it, which they hadn't been using at this point, and it's 2022, So yeah, can you, anybody there, enlighten me? What product did this crop up in? I'm a bit confused. Oh, see, I should read the notes. There we go. I'd never spotted that before. A new Rafik print was added to the list alongside Streets of New Capennica as part of the new promotion featuring. Yeah, so yeah, that makes sense then, because I keep forgetting with the list. Yeah, they use the original set symbol, don't they? So yeah, go. Okay, that solved that mystery. Imperial Archangel Sharoom, which we saw had been reprinted a few times. Oh, it's a nice one in the old style border. Okay, so I think that's enough shenanigans in Scryfall for today. I certainly enjoyed getting back on in the saddle, so to speak. Hopefully this was enlightening, and for anybody that has fond memories of opening packs of shards in any situation, then I hope this was nicely nostalgic for you. And anybody that watches the videos just to relax, hopefully it was nicely relaxing. So, bye for now, and I will catch you in a future video.